There is a simple exercise that many surgeons prioritize when discussing cold or heavy legs due to poor circulation, and it is not walking faster. Almost no one practices it, although it can activate what is known as the second heart of the legs. In just a few minutes, you will understand why this movement changes everything after the age of 60. I am Dr. Juan Manuel Avila, specialized in vascular health with more than 20 years of experience. For years, we were told that walking was enough. But when you examine how the body actually responds after the age of 60, a key component emerges that almost no one activates, and it all begins with the simplest movement of all. As the years go by, many people feel that circulation in their legs is no longer the same. It does not appear overnight. It usually manifests discreetly, a sensation of heaviness at the end of the day, ankles that appear more swollen in the afternoon, feet that feel cold even when the rest of the body is at a comfortable temperature. These signs do not always draw attention, but they often share a common origin. It is not a lack of effort, it is a lack of specific activation. Throughout my experience, I have observed that one of the most frequent mistakes is trying to resolve this issue solely with more walking. Walking is useful, without a doubt, but it is not always sufficient to activate the most important mechanism for circulation in the legs. That mechanism is located in the calves. The calf muscles fulfill an essential function. They act as a natural pump that helps push blood from the feet toward the heart. That is why, in the medical field, this area is known as the second heart. It is not a symbolic expression, it is a functional description. Each contraction of the calf compresses the deep veins and facilitates the return of blood against gravity. The problem is that, after the age of 60, this system can become less active. We spend more time sitting, steps become shorter, movement loses amplitude. All of this reduces the frequency with which this pump is activated. When that happens, blood tends to accumulate in the lower part of the legs, and circulation becomes slower. This is where a movement that is often underestimated comes in. Seated ankle pumps seem too simple to generate a change. Many people associate them only with hospital rehabilitation. However, this exercise directly addresses the biology of the adult body. It does not seek to exhaust, it seeks to awaken. By moving the feet in a controlled manner, upward and downward, the calf muscles are repeatedly activated, without requiring balance or impact. This gentle but constant activation sends a clear signal to the circulatory system. It tells the body to restart a process that was operating at half capacity. Studies suggest that this type of frequent activation can promote venous return, help reduce swelling, and improve the sensation of temperature in the feet when performed regularly. Many older people notice over time that their legs feel less stiff and lighter when standing up after sitting. The key to this exercise is not intensity, it is consistency. The body responds better to repeated and sustained stimuli over time than to isolated efforts. That is why this movement becomes a solid foundation for everything that follows. If this pump is not activated, other exercises lose effectiveness. The execution is simple. Sit in a firm chair with your feet flat on the floor. First, slowly raise the toes toward the shins, keeping the heels on the ground. Feel how the front part of the leg activates. Then place the toes down and gently lift the heels, as if pressing a pedal. That full cycle counts as one repetition. The movement should be slow and controlled. There is no need to rush. As you perform it, breathe normally and pay attention to the sensations. You can do it while watching television, while reading, or at any time of the day. It requires no special clothing or a large space. This exercise does not aim to replace other forms of movement. It aims to prepare the ground. It is the first step for circulation to flow more efficiently again. And as with any change in physical habits, it is important to listen to the body and proceed with caution. When this pump begins to activate again, the body is better prepared for more challenging movements. Circulation improves, but something equally important also begins to recover: the sensation of stability. It would be interesting if you shared in the comments, have you ever noticed that your feet feel colder or heavier after sitting for a while? We want to know your experience, and that leads us to the next exercise, one that involves not only the legs, but also balance and the nervous system. There is a signal from the body that usually appears before pain, before stiffness, and often before someone notices clear changes in their legs. It has nothing to do with strength or endurance. It has to do with something more subtle: balance. When balance begins to fail, circulation almost always accompanies that process, even if it is not perceived immediately. Over the years, I have seen that many older people associate balance solely with not falling, but in reality, balance is a constant conversation between the muscles, the nerves, and blood flow. When that conversation becomes slow or confused, the body starts to move with caution. And when movement becomes cautious, circulation also slows down. Standing on one leg seems like a simple gesture, even trivial. However, from a physiological point of view, it is one of the most complete stimuli that exist for the legs after the age of 60. In that moment, the body cannot rely on automatic habits. It has to activate, sustain, and adjust continuously. When you stand on one leg, the ankle, calf, knee, hip, and core all come into action at the same time. But there is something even more important. That activation is not brief, it is sustained, and that sustained contraction keeps the calf pump active for longer than many dynamic movements. That means blood continues to circulate while the body works to remain stable. It is not a quick impulse, it is a continuous flow. That is why this exercise not only supports balance but also promotes circulation in a way that gentle walking does not always achieve. In addition, there is another key component: the nervous system. Every second you remain on one leg, the brain receives constant information about the body's position in space. That ability is called proprioception. It is a kind of internal GPS that allows us to move safely. Over time, if it is not stimulated, that signal weakens. Observational studies suggest that older people who regularly train balance not only improve their stability, but also maintain a safer gait and greater confidence when moving. And when confidence improves, movement increases. And when movement increases, circulation finds better conditions to flow. The problem is that many people avoid this type of exercise out of fear. Fear of losing balance, fear of falling. That reaction is understandable, but when performed safely and progressively, this movement does not seek to put you at risk. It seeks to retrain a system that has become more cautious over the years. The correct way to begin is simple. Stand next to a sturdy chair, a wall, or a countertop. Lightly rest one hand on it, only as a reference. Shift your body weight to one leg and lift the other foot just a few centimeters off the ground. There is no need to lift it high. The important thing is that one leg takes charge of support. While holding the position, breathe normally. Keep your gaze directed forward, not at the floor. That detail is important, because it helps the nervous system organize balance better. Hold the posture for a few seconds without excessive tension. Then switch legs. At first, many people notice small tremors. That is not a negative sign. It is the body adjusting. Over time, those tremors decrease and stability improves. What is happening is better communication between muscles and nerves, accompanied by more efficient activation of circulation. This exercise is not about demonstrating skill. It is about recovering a basic function that supports independence. When balance improves, the legs feel more secure. When the legs feel more secure, the body moves more. And that cycle benefits both circulation and overall mobility. As with any change in physical routine, it is important to proceed with caution and respect your own limits. The goal is to support the body, not to demand more than necessary. This movement not only prepares the legs, it prepares the body to respond better to the unexpected. And once that foundation is active, there is another exercise that allows combining circulation, strength, and control in an even more direct way. That is the next step. Before continuing, I want to remind everyone who is listening that subscribing to our channel will give you access to this vital information. Let us continue. There comes a point where circulation is no longer just a matter of flow, but begins to depend on control. Not brute force, not speed, but the body's ability to push and support weight in an organized way. That point emerges when we stop sitting and start interacting with gravity. Many older people feel that when standing up, their legs no longer respond the same. It is not obvious weakness. It is a mild sensation of insecurity, as if the body hesitates before propelling itself. That moment, so brief it almost goes unnoticed, is crucial. This is where this exercise plays a fundamental role. Heel raises with support are not just a variation of standing on tiptoes. They are a specific training for the exact moment when the body needs to generate impulse from the ground. That impulse is what we use to start walking, change direction, or react to a small imbalance. When we raise our heels slowly and in a controlled manner, the calves work differently from other movements. It is not about repeating quickly. It is about loading the weight, lifting it, and holding it for a moment. That hold changes everything. It is there that the muscle stops merely reacting and starts to control. From a circulatory perspective, that control generates more organized pressure within the deep veins of the legs. It is not a sudden push. It is sustained pressure that helps direct blood upward at a time when the body is fully upright. That combination does not occur when the movement is hurried or automatic. In addition, this exercise introduces an element we have not yet addressed directly: the coordination between strength and stability. When raising the heels, the body needs to adjust the ankle, knee, and hip at the same time. There is no isolation. The entire system has to collaborate. That joint work is especially relevant after the age of 60. Over time, the body tends to simplify movements to feel safe. The problem is that this simplification reduces the involvement of certain key muscles. This exercise reintegrates them without requiring impact or large ranges of motion. Many people notice something interesting when practicing it regularly. They not only feel their legs more active, they begin to perceive greater firmness when standing. That firmness does not come from tensing up. It comes from the body regaining the ability to organize itself against its own weight. The execution must be careful. Stand behind a sturdy chair, a wall, or a countertop. The hand support is only a reference, not a load. Place your feet hip-width apart. From there, slowly raise your heels, shifting the weight towards the front of the foot. When you reach the top, pause for a moment. That instant is important. Do not look down. Keep your gaze forward and your breathing calm. Then lower yourself in a controlled way, feeling how the weight returns to the ground. That descent is also part of the work. At first, it is normal for the movement to feel demanding, even with few repetitions. Not because it is intense, but because it activates muscle fibers that do not always participate in daily life. Over time, that effort turns into confidence. This exercise does not aim to fatigue. It aims to train the body to respond better when it needs to. And that response not only improves circulation, it improves the way the legs support the body in everyday situations. The interesting thing is that when this control begins to emerge, many people realize something more. Simple movements like taking a firm step or remaining stable when stopping start to feel more natural. That naturalness is a sign that the system is working in a more integrated way. This movement serves as a bridge. It connects the activation we have already started with a more advanced capability, preparing the body to support itself, adapt, and respond. But first, at what time of day do you notice the most insecurity? When standing or starting to walk, and how does it feel in your legs? Tell me in the comments. I want to know. And once that bridge is built, there is an exercise that strengthens a different part of the legs, but equally important for daily mobility. There are moments when circulation does not manifest as coldness or swelling, but as something harder to describe. The legs respond, but they do so with less precision. Simple movements require more effort. Climbing a step feels slower. Standing up from a chair leaves a brief sensation of instability. These signs are usually interpreted as fatigue, when in reality they reflect a gradual loss of muscle participation. In many cases, the focus is placed only on the lower part of the legs. However, there is an area that plays a silent but decisive role in daily movement and in supporting circulation: the thighs. When these muscles reduce their activity, the body finds it more difficult to move blood efficiently during everyday tasks. Seated leg raises work precisely on that region. They do not seek intensity. They seek to reconnect strength, control, and circulation in a stable environment. That stability is key because it allows the body to focus on the movement without worrying about balance. Over the years, it is common for people to adapt their way of moving. They use their arms more to stand up. They avoid lifting their legs. They reduce their ranges of motion. These adaptations are usually unconscious, but they have a cumulative effect. The thigh muscles receive less stimulation, and over time, their participation in movement decreases. When that happens, the body seeks compensations. Walking becomes slower. More frequent pauses are taken. Movement becomes more fragmented. All of this impacts circulation, not due to lack of intention, but due to lack of adequate muscle activation. This exercise proposes a clear and direct activation. By raising one leg from a seated position, the thigh muscle must work against gravity. That contraction not only allows the leg to move, it also generates internal pressure that favors the displacement of blood toward upper areas of the body during the movement. But there is a detail that makes the difference. It is not just about raising the leg. It is about how it is raised and how it is lowered. Control throughout the entire range forces the muscle to remain active for longer. That time under tension is what turns this movement into an effective tool. In addition, this exercise introduces an important improvement in coordination. By working one leg at a time, the body learns to distribute effort better. That ability is essential for actions like climbing stairs, advancing with firmness, or supporting body weight during position changes. Many older people notice that after practicing this exercise regularly, everyday movements begin to feel more organized, not necessarily faster, but safer. That sense of security allows the body to move with greater freedom, which in turn creates better conditions for circulation to flow. The execution must be performed with attention. The person sits on a sturdy chair with their back supported and both feet in contact with the floor. From that position, one leg is raised while keeping the knee extended as far as is comfortable. It is not necessary to reach maximum height. The goal is for the movement to be slow and controlled. A brief pause at the top allows the muscle to complete its work. Then the leg is lowered gradually without letting it drop. That controlled descent is just as important as the raise. Throughout the entire movement, the torso remains stable without leaning forward. This exercise does not seek to fatigue or compete. It seeks to recover muscle participation in a safe environment. That is why it is especially useful for people who feel that their legs do not keep up as before, even without evident pain. By strengthening this area, the body reduces dependence on compensations and distributes effort better. That more balanced distribution favors continuous movement, and continuous movement favors more efficient circulation throughout the day. This work on the thighs fulfills a key function within the sequence. It prepares the body for a final, more direct stimulus, one that concentrates all the activation learned so far into a single movement. That movement is the next one. Before continuing, I want to remind everyone listening that subscribing to our channel will give you access to this vital information. Let us continue. Over the years, I have seen many well-intentioned attempts to improve circulation in the legs. Longer walks, occasional stretches, routines that promise quick results. However, when one observes carefully how the body responds after the age of 60, a clear pattern emerges. The movement that has the greatest impact is not the most intense or the longest. It is the one that directly and sustainably activates the system that pushes blood against gravity. The calves play a central role in that system. They do not just accompany the step. They function as a hydraulic pump that propels blood from the feet upward. When this pump works well, the legs feel lighter, more stable, and with better temperature. When it works only halfway, circulation becomes slow and the body begins to compensate in other ways. The standing calf pump with hold stands out from other movements due to one key detail: time. It is not just about raising the heels. It is about maintaining the contraction long enough for the internal pressure to fulfill its function. That hold is what is often missing in everyday activity. When standing, the body faces gravity directly. Blood tends to descend. To counteract that effect, the calf contraction needs to be clear and organized. When the heels rise and the position is held, the muscles compress the deep veins and generate pressure that helps direct the flow upward. That process does not occur with the same effectiveness when the movement is quick or automatic. That is why this exercise holds a central place in mobility and circulatory support programs. It does not require impact. It does not demand large ranges of motion, but it does require attention, and that attention changes the way the body responds. Many people believe that walking quickly can replace this stimulus. The difference is that while walking, the contraction is brief and distributed among several muscles. Here, on the other hand, the contraction is focused and sustained. The body receives a clear message. This is the moment to pump. In addition to the circulatory effect, this exercise provides something equally important: confidence in posture. By raising the heels and holding the position, the body learns to organize itself from the ankle upward. The nervous system adjusts micro-balances. The base becomes more stable. That stability affects the way of walking, stopping, and responding to unexpected changes. Over time, many people notice that when standing for longer periods, their legs feel less tired, not because the effort is eliminated, but because the effort is distributed better. Circulation accompanies movement instead of lagging behind. The execution requires a safe environment. The person stands behind a sturdy chair, a countertop, or a stable surface. The hand support is light, only as a reference. The feet are placed hip-width apart, with weight distributed evenly. From that position, the heels rise gradually. There is no rush. The goal is to reach a comfortable height and hold the contraction for a few seconds. During that time, breathing remains calm and the gaze is forward. The body stays upright without leaning. Then the heels lower slowly, returning the weight to the floor in a controlled manner. That descent is part of the exercise. It allows the muscle to complete its work without losing organization. At first, this movement may feel demanding, even with few repetitions. That sensation does not indicate a problem, it indicates that the muscle is being used in a more conscious way. With practice, the body learns to hold the contraction more easily, and the sensation changes. This exercise does not seek to accelerate processes, it seeks to restore a function that the body knows but that may have weakened over time. By reactivating this pump regularly, better conditions are created for circulation to accompany daily movement. What makes this movement special is its simplicity and its cumulative effect. It does not depend on age. It depends on consistency and the quality of the stimulus. When performed with attention, the body responds. Now, if you wish to continue learning, watch the next video. The content of this channel uses characters for educational and informational purposes based on public sources, studies, and general research. It does not intend to diagnose, treat, or replace professional medical recommendations. Each person is different. Always consult your trusted doctor before applying any advice related to health, nutrition, supplements, or exercises.